Hi everyone! Welcome to my 30-day creative challenge. We are in day 6. I couldn't believe it. I was about to repeat myself this morning thinking, day 5? Oh wow, I'm still a day behind. And as I was preparing for this video and this live recording, I was thinking to myself, what could I do today to help creative people? And when I say creative, a lot of the my customers aren't just artists. I think that art is truly a creative energy, and so I bring to you the art and some ideas to share with your family and friends. But today I wanted to include, because it's going to be really simple, a basic monochromatic art demonstration, short, with bringing an overview of what we did yesterday. Yesterday I talked a little bit and gave a demonstration around pointillism. So I have monochromatic art today for you, as well as pointillism, and very basic art practices. But as you begin to experiment or play with the family, it's like it's meant to be relaxing while we're stuck at home, and getting those creative energies really going. I think part of for me is the inspiration of color. Like when I look at, when I go and surf the internet and I see bright colors right now, I think we're all very, very thirsty for spring to come. My plants are doing really well. It's like they all of a sudden know that the sun is staying a little bit longer and the flowers are popping again. And there will be some more on That's a Separate Idea for another Facebook Live in my other page. So as I talk about monochromatic art, what it really is taking one color and from dark to light. It is really, really important when we're painting and learning about painting, that those items that are closer to us, like the mountains here, the grass and the trees, or the trees behind me in the water, are darker because they're closer. And the mountain range are in the middle, so you can still see a bit more detail. And as you get to this baby blue mountain, like we get the feeling that it's way back. And then you look at the clouds and you see the sky is a tiny bit darker than those mountains. And you can feel the clouds. So when we look at monochromatic art, learning the different values from dark to light on the spectrum will enable you as a creative person, artist, to highlight the perspective. Perspective is really important, as you can see here. And just learning the perspective and the shades, the values, we pop the picture and give it more of a 3D effect, as you see here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a painting that I've already done. I created this. It took me possibly around 2 hours because I did the monochromatic art, and then I did a little bit of pointillism. And then while I'm talking, I will come back with the camera, and I want to share four key insights for artistic or for creativity. So four insights for creativity. And these are also really important. It goes along the lines of John Maxwell's 21 Laws of Influence. It's the second law of influence and how we create it in our creative lives, our artistic lives. And you note that those may be two separate things, but in my world, creativity and art come together. And creativity is really, really needed in a workforce because when there are problems, there are solutions to each one of those problems, and it's the creative minds that come up with alternative and interesting ways to solve that problem. Okay, I'm going to pop on here to show you the monochromatic art and talk a bit more to you about that. As you noticed that this is a really good example, and if you would like to have a template or a template, I can provide one in my subscription. You would subscribe with just your email. You go from dark, and how you get this tone is you add white. And then you add some more white when you finish this layer here. And then you add just more white so that you get this effect up here. Okay? Note that this doesn't happen in one painting session. You could still see a little bit of streaks. What I do is I let the first layer dry and then I go over. It could still use another layer. Always make sure when you're using acrylic that you don't rub the canvas, because right here I took off a chunk. Okay, and it's the same as we go upwards. I was thinking about the importance of art and the message we're trying to send to the people that are observing our art. We are like entertainers, or we become great speakers. There's a story in every piece, but we're not telling that story. When people come to my trade show table, and here's a selling tip. What is this pointillism and why didn't you finish? Might be the question. I want to talk about what I was thinking about this morning is that this time, at this period of time, we are staying in our houses, homeschooling our children, and life, the world around us is continuing. And I was thinking about the missing and murdered women, and then even more about cultural people, not just indigenous, cultural, all over the world. We're all facing this together. And it reminded me of stars. It reminded me of the Star Warriors. For each positivity that we send into the wind or in our thoughts in the morning, it's like the sunlight. And I have 8 here. 8 is infinity. And when we come together as a people, we create ourselves as one. And so whether you're meditating or praying, however, or sitting in silence, that we connect to one another, and it's very, very powerful. So this piece has been done really quick and is more of an educational or teaching item. I wanted to also add to you the four key insights of influence as a creative person, as an artist. Remember I said that the two for me aren't any different. And I want you to know that the 4 that I'm talking to you and bring to you today is about inside of the art world. But is it really? We're all looking for a way to make a few extra dollars. Some of us have to work, but maybe it's not enough. And the 4 key insights that I've taken are from John Maxwell's Law of Leadership. And so we all know that our position at work, late in this last round, like today, a lot of us are staying home. And that's because that's the way things are going. There's the coming together to heal ourselves and to look after the ones that we care about. And so there wouldn't be such a term as redundant. And I'm going to come back on the camera for a second. I haven't quite figured out how to share both screens, because I can have the art on one and then I can talk to you. Some positions in the world, some positions in career the position itself becomes redundant, or it's just playing itself out and that you're filling a role. And when this happens, it can be a really alarming and upsetting. And a lot of us have gone to greater education or higher education to receive bachelor's or certificates and diplomas and all these pieces of paper. So when all that goes away after training, we have our document which demonstrates the learned education. And now the question is, showing up inside of the world, which we do, we get a job or a position, and then we begin to hone our experience, to get really good at it, to master. When we become masters, the assessment is 10,000 hours. I know. So you think about 10,000 hours. I did the whole calculation in my mind, working and teaching as an educator in front of audience, like in front of a classroom and speaking to people, and I obtained the 10,000 hours inside of a little less than 10 years. And then there were some more with social work, with speaking and that kind of thing. So this is great. I had the certificates, the diplomas, the university, and then that all went away. And the one time that it went away, I had to look at the second phase, which was business building. But inside of business building, I wanted to learn how to teach, or I wanted to teach others what I do. And through the movement of the last few years, showing up, speaking about what I do, elevator pitches, target markets, understanding the art world, understanding sales, and selling ourselves as much as I thought somebody else can sell me. And as an artist, I could hire someone to market me. And I didn't have the budget just yet. And the audience didn't know I was here because I didn't know what my target market was. Does target market have anything to do with the art world? Yes, it does. It does. As I move forward and begin to talk to various artists, that my expertise is in creativity. And what do we do with the experience? I'm stuck. I don't know where to go. I discovered that the weakness is in collaborating with others. And not just collaborating with anyone. We need to be asking people who are in the field who have made successes the questions. And that's when I talk about mentorship. Now, mentorship sounds like it's more training. It is. I'll get back to that in a second. Because the target market, I'm just going to draw for a minute and give you an example. Like, for example, so Sally, one of the artists, she draws interest from the minimalist group, that target market, who are 20-year-old females and working with recycled works of art. And Sally is creating art form with recycled art and teaching others how, all the tips and techniques. And she begins with presenting a basic structure, because what she wants to do is bring them into her course line or into her webinars, and then showing them the tips and tricks and whatnot. So the first one was getting our training, but the most important part of the training is discovering where we're influential in our expertise. Collaborate with others. Collaborate with people who are actively in the business of art. Okay? The second one is to learn about your target market. I already know what my target market is. I have 4 streams, mainly women, but don't get me wrong, because it's not just women, there are men too. One of those streams includes men who would like to learn as well. And they're all in the age range of 30, and it goes up to 40, 45, that one target market. And another target market goes from just the art alone from 25 on up to 65. I could tell you a little bit more. How did I learn how did I know who my target market was? And that's called research. I've spent hours and hours researching, and I'm still fine-tuning it. Okay? The next phase, how many was that? We've got collaboration, we've got target market. The third phase is the question about who is seeking your expertise. Right now, if you look around you and you get questions, a lot of questions, are they directly coming from women, youth, elders, males, females, what age? You know, you start with a small pool of people like I did. It helped me springboard and give me an idea of where to transition into. I started with students, college students. I knew that. I knew who was interested because they asked me questions. They wanted templates or lesson plans. So I started from there, and then I am able to ask the questions because you were asking me questions. I was able to ask questions in order to provide mentorship to my target market. So who's seeking you now? Your expertise, and in what? Is it, if you're into pottery, then what part of pottery? Or is it photography? What part of photography? You know, when I think about photography, there's magazine photography for magazines, there's postcards, and the list goes on. This is also important for collaboration, because when you collaborate, it's like, I have this idea. What are you doing when you're talking to another photographer? The one area that we need to not do is copy somebody else. Yes, we could take their steps, but when I was first started out, I was trying to copy other artists and what they were doing. I didn't realize that my target market was different than the people that I was following. And then I realized after taking away, and there's a question about asking about your purpose. And that took me over 2-3 weeks. And I've been asking that question, not anymore, but over the last few years, what is my purpose? Where are my strengths? And then back to mentorship. And in order to get some guidance in the business world, mentorship is essential. And I have mentorship. The higher you want to climb, the more you need leadership. And the greater the impact you want to make, the greater your influence needs to be. And what that means is, when we think about leadership, it's all about the components that are inside leadership. When you're building a business, it's how to communicate, how to connect, asking the questions and learning how to what do they say? Great leaders ask great questions. Those questions are essential. How do you connect? Today they call them soft skills. They are not soft skills. So my suggestion, and the insight and suggestions from my masters, the gurus in the field of business building, is that mentorship. And the best mentorship is always paid mentorship. Free mentorship is okay. We have the I'm talking about free mentorship when it comes to the web. You sign it, give them an email, and then you expect something. You get one little tidbit, but no more. The mentorship that I paid for mentorship for a whole year from an artist out of New York. Every month, he had key lessons online. And he gave specifics about how to create an artist statement. And that artist statement I used that artist statement, not just in my grants, but that artist statement took me to area and then division level in Toastmasters. I embedded it in my speech. I also have done as a mentor myself, recited the same artist statement to my customers. And did that pay for itself? Of course it did. It also helped me get into exhibits. Because who am I as an artist or a creative person? Where did that spark come from? And it's just a tiny little artist statement. It's just a phrase. I have a big one, but most people only have the time to get that little nugget. And artist statements need to be crafted. And the next one is John C. Maxwell, which I have the speaking training and coaching, which helped me keep up to date, as well as mentorship from Empowered Living with Paul Martinelli. Empowered Living because I'm here to learn about empowerment, but as I'm learning, I'm sharing. So those are some of the ideas. Now I want to also provide you with some questions. I'm going to ask them here, and then you may have to grab a piece of paper and a pen, and I'm going to go through them. And I know you can rewind the video after you, if you can't keep up. And then you can go over those questions again. And if you're watching this on a recording, I'd appreciate it if you would put replay on #replay. And any likes, comments, you loved what I shared, questions, just drop them in the comment section below. So these questions have come on, they have been reframed, but they originally come from the second influential law, the second chapter of titled Influence by John C. Maxwell. So character. When we look at leadership, here are seven questions to your leader, how you lead in the art world, or how you mentor in the art world, because leadership is mentorship too. Okay? So number 1, character. Who are you as an artist? Number 2, relationships. Who you know as an artist. So in your relationships, who do you know as an artist? Remember, we're talking about influence and being connected to others, and also being an influence and creating an impact with people in our lives through the messages of our visual artistic work. I get blank because I'm trying to multitask and do this. But who do you know as an artist? Intuition. What do you feel as an artist? And if you look at my art behind me, I feel a love for the land, the air, water, earth, all the elements, the minerals. I feel for the culture, for the practices of my people, my Chilcotin, the Chilcotin people who are my family. Knowledge. What do you know as an artist? I'd like to call this bring it from the head to the heart for that question. That'll help you as create that influence. Because knowledge is great, but if it's not helping anyone, then the knowledge is knowledge. That's how I foresee it. Experience. Where have you been, and what have you sold as an artist? This will help you understand the places you've been, and maybe that you've been selling all along. And that the place you're really at right now needs another question. And that question might be, what can I do today that is different than yesterday? What's the one thing I can do? Past success. What have you done to create success in your artwork or your creativity? Whatever your dreams are, what have you done to create that success? Ability. What can you do better as an artist for yourself? Okay, once you answer the questions, you need to rate yourself from 1 to 10. 1 is you see yourself doing poorly at something. And I mean poorly. Poor doesn't mean a grade level like we're in school. Poor doesn't mean that it's a weakness. Poor for me means something that I need to focus on to improve. And 10 is when I feel very comfortable and confident and I'm okay. So you rate yourself from 1, needing improvement. We'll reword that. How about needing improvement? That feels better for me. It's much more empowering. To 10, expert, or I'm confident. Now I leave this with you, and you can receive my notes for the notes and the template for the monochromatic art and the 4 key insights that I just listed. I gave you a little bit more than the 4 keys because within the 4 key insights I had given you seven questions. I hope you've enjoyed this, and look forward to your day. See the sun, and lots of blessings. Love you guys. Mwah. Catch you later.